The October 2024 Jan Dils Golden Apple Award was given to a teacher at Parkersburg Catholic High School on Tuesday morning. I introduce you to Craig Casto.
Mr. Craig Casto is in his 13th year of teaching at Parkersburg Catholic High School. A man of many talents, Mr. Casto teaches a variety of subjects such as calculus, statistics, physics, chemistry 1 and 2, art, environmental science, and engineering. In his nomination letter written by one of his students, Casto is described as, quote, always having a big smile on his face and is always willing to take time out of his day to help students understand the subject he's teaching them, even if he is doing a class at that time, unquote. This dedication to his students and their education can be seen by his happiness at coming to work every morning, something that he tells his students to choose every day.
Well, I always tell them to choose happiness. And by that, I've always meant that you're here, you're in school, enjoy it while you can, and just have a good time with it.
Mr. Casto's dedication isn't just seen in the classroom, as he also played a part in extracurricular activities at the school as well.
Yes, in the past, I've coached basketball here quite a lot on the middle school teams, and I've always been associated with the baseball team.
Principal Mike DeRose says that out of all of Mr. Casto's qualities, his humble nature lies at the heart. This was seen as Casto said that he was, in fact, surprised and grateful to win the Golden Apple Award. Overall, Casto says that he is very fond of his students and that he appreciates teaching in a smaller school, as it allows him to get to know them better.
I really enjoy all the kids. Certain kids come through here and I get to have them so often because I teach such a broad range of subjects. But I really get to know them and I really enjoy them all personally.
A notion that carries over in his advice for those wanting to become teachers themselves.
Get to know the kids you're teaching and enjoy doing it.
In Parkersburg, LV Hissam for WTAP News. This is home.